Hey, welcome back. When we talk about the inherent filtration, it is the total filtration that is given on the tube. There is no guarantee that the tube will give you only high powered X-ray, which is the hard X-ray. So the tube will emit some hard X-rays and a fraction of soft X-ray. Soft X-ray are the X-ray which are not useful for creating any image. They are either absorbed by the patient or they are scattered around to the user. So the job of a good CM is to reduce the quantity of soft X-rays, and it is done by giving a better filtration. So the filtration is generally measured in aluminum equivalent thickness. Thicker the aluminum filter, more will be the filtration and less will be the scattered dose on the patient. So here the EAK or the DQE will remain the same, but because the filter is thicker, you can find the overall scattered dose will be lesser in some machines which have better aluminum filtration. Next will be the mode of exposure. Some machines have only continuous mode, and some machines will have continuous mode as well as pulse fluoroscopy, and some machines are capable of giving cine mode also. Uh, Pulse mode will reduce the dose than continuous mode because X-ray is given in pulses. So the capability of machine to operate in pulse mode, in auto mode, will drastically affect the total dose on the user and as on the patient. And cine mode will obviously increase the dose, but it is required when you need the best resolution during some part of the procedure. And another myth that is commonly prevalent is all flat panel detectors are same, which is not the case. So in CM, especially in surgical CMs, there are two kinds of flat panels. One is the amorphous silicon flat panel. The other one is a CMOS flat panel. And also it depends on the imaging chain. Some flat panels are designed with just 1K by 1K imaging chain, which is 1,000 vertical dots and 1,000 horizontal dots will make the image. Against to some flat panels which have 1,500 vertical dots to 1,500 horizontal dots will make, which makes the image, which means instead of 10 lakh dots, 1,000 into 1,000 versus 22.5 lakh dots, which is 2.25 million dots in some other machines. And also it depends on the dose saving techniques. Some high-end machines will have better dose saving techniques than the low machines. So all of this will put together give the overall value of the machine when it comes to a flat panel detector. And also there will be some image processing techniques which will increase the resolution, or which will increase the or which will better the user experience. All of them will also matter to the overall experience of the user. Along with the imaging chain what I just mentioned, there will also be called as image processing chain. For example, images may be captured at high resolution, but at what resolution the images are processed and displayed, that also matters. So imaging chain means the processing resolution, the capturing resolution, as well as the display resolution. If everything is 1K by 1K, then it's a 1K machine. If two of them are 1.5K and one is 1K, even then the machine is 1K. If all three are 1.5K, only then we can consider it as a 1.5K resolution system. And let's just see what an amorphous silicon detector is made up of. As I mentioned, the principle of amorphous silicon is there will be a scintillator. The scintillator will convert X-rays into photons. The amorphous silicon array will convert the photons into electric signal, and the electronic signal is converted to the image in the computer. So we'll just understand what are the advantages of amorphous silicon detector. Amorphous silicon detector has very high DQE at high EAK, which means when you are doing a cine procedure, or when you are doing a procedure which involves very high quantity of X-ray, amorphous silicon detectors will be very efficient. That's the reason why amorphous silicon detectors are generally used in a fixed cath lab systems, where typically a cine mode consists of around 500 mA, and where the generator capacity will typically be more than 100 kilowatt kind of. And also amorphous silicon, we call it as radiation hard, which is they are less prone for damage at higher energy levels. Image intensifiers and CMOS detectors tend to get damaged at very high energy levels. That's why they are not used for 100 kilowatt kind of machines. They are used only for 20 or 15 kilowatt kind of machines. And also, since amorphous silicon is an existing technology for quite some time, you have a different choice of detectors. Even if you want to have a 30 by 40 detector, or even if you want to have a 40 by 40 detector, it is possible in amorphous silicon detector. Other detectors are not having the choice of different sizes. So CMOS detector, the technology remains almost the same. The working principle remains almost the same. Just the uh, the material which converts X-rays into photons is made of a CMOS technology. And CMOS technology, as we use in our mobile phone cameras also, if someone remember mobile phone camera 10 years back, without flash, there were images used to be very dark, or selfies were not very effective in the old cameras because the images were not good in low light environment. But now that, because we are using CMOS technology in mobile cameras, even in low light environment, we are able to get good images. The same thing applies even here. CMOS technology will convert very low quantity of X-ray also efficiently to an image. That's the reason why CMOS is better for low EAK, which means if you want to use the machine with low energy, typically in continuous fluoro or typically in pulse fluoro or in a cine mode, without exceeding 100 or 200 mA, then CMOS detector works better than amorphous silicon detector. And also CMOS detector has high refresh rate and no binning, which means the images, even if you recorded 30 frames per second in fluoro mode, you won't get any visual lag. And another advantage is you can get better pixel size in CMOS, because CMOS detectors are made with 1.5K and 2K imaging sizes also. And now we'll just consider where to buy or when to buy an image intensifier or a machine with amorphous silicon detector or a machine with CMOS detector. Image intensifiers, as we know, is an existing technology for quite some time. That's why it is more economical. So if you want to go for an economical system, or if you want to use the machine principally for surgical environment where you need to use more of mag mode, then image intensifier is a better technology for you. It's only uh, and then where we need to go for an amorphous silicon detector. Amorphous silicon detector is typically at high EAK, which means when you want to use more of a high dose processors, typically for a fixed cath lab where the energy is typically 100 kilowatt generator and output is typically 500 mA kind of, then amorphous silicon detector works very efficient. And also when you have a different size requirement, typically in an oncology environment where they want the detector to be much bigger than a surgical or vascular environment. And where to use CMOS detector? If you want to use it in a surgical environment, or if you want to use it in a vascular or cardiac environment, where your machine generator capacity is only 15 or 20 kilowatt, then CMOS detector works better than amorphous silicon detector, because principally and by theory and by practical, CMOS detector is more efficient than amorphous silicon detector at lower EAK. And also, if you want to use cinema, you want to use fluoro mode instead of cinema for recording, then also CMOS detector will be a better choice. And what are the factors that you need to consider while buying a CM? These are the three factors for which we need to think of, or rather about which we need to think of when we buy a CM. One will be the radiation safety. You need to understand what are the kind of procedures you use and what is the DQ at that particular procedure. Second is the resolution. What is the imaging chain resolution? Is it 1K by 1K imaging chain, or is it 1.5K by 1.5K imaging chain, or is it 2K by 2K imaging chain? That matters, because we pay money for better resolution. So if the imaging chain is better, you can expect better resolution. And also resolution at display, which is generally published by all the vendors. More LP by mm, the machine will have better resolution. And also some advanced features based on the user requirement, like DSA and enhancement softwares. And thanks for viewing, and please like and subscribe my video if you like it. And also, if you have any comment, if you have any inputs for me, or if you want any other videos on any other topics, please comment. I'll be more than happy to do. I'll make my next video over next